Hey everyone, and welcome back to the 715. I'm your host, Ria Shankar, and today is going to be another episode of conspiracy theories and true crime. But this time it's going to be a football edition. So we have a couple of conspiracy theories that were in the world of football, and we actually have a murder case to talk about as well. So without further ado, let's begin. So after researching about this, I actually realized that conspiracies are everywhere. It's in the world of sports. It's not just a political thing, or it's not just it doesn't revolve death only. It's everywhere, but we just don't realize it. So let's start. So first, I'd like to talk about the death of a footballer. He was assassinated. His name is Andre Escobar. Totally not related to Pablo Escobar. Let me just get that clear. Let me just get that out of the way. So he was assassinated, and let me tell you why. It was the 1994 World Cup, Colombia versus the USA. And Andre Escobar was a defender. And he scored an own goal. And this was a match that Colombia really needed to win to progress in the tournament. And he scored an own goal, and the final score ended up being 2-1 to US, causing Colombia to be eliminated. Now, after this, the Colombian team was seen as outcasts, and all of them received death threats, including and especially Andre Escobar, because, well, he scored an own goal in a very crucial match. And then, a few weeks later, he was assassinated in a parking lot, and he was shot 12 times by one of the bodyguards of a Colombian cartel. His name is Humberto Munoz. And this death literally shocked the entire nation. About 80,000 people turned up to Andre Escobar's funeral. Luckily, the killer was caught, but everyone was entirely disgusted. And Andre Escobar's girlfriend was there when he was shot, and she claimed that when the guy shot him, he kept saying goal as he shot him. I mean, that's kind of crazy, but it's insane how because of that goal he ended up getting killed. Now we're going to move on to a couple of conspiracies. So the first one is Ronaldo was forced to play the World Cup in 1998. Now, this is not Cristiano Ronaldo, it's the Ronaldo that played for Brazil. He was forced to play in the 1998 World Cup. So, apparently, he suffered a seizure on the day of the final. So, it was Brazil versus France. I mean, that is an interesting final, and he suffered a seizure. And obviously, he wasn't feeling well. But Nike forced him to play because so he was a huge superstar at the time. I mean, it was Ronaldo. He is arguably one of the best players, and Nike was sponsoring him, and they forced him to play. And Nike feared that if he did not play in the World Cup final, then sales would drop. Well, they were right. I'm pretty sure sales would have dropped, but they forced him to play. And if you look for pictures of that day at the opening ceremony of the final, he doesn't look happy. He looks tired. He looks lethargic. He basically looks like he doesn't want to play. And on the day, that was the biggest ever loss for Brazil. That performance was said to be Brazil's worst performance and Ronaldo's worst performance. And the irony is that Adidas actually ended up winning because Zinedine Zidane, who was a French player, one of the best French players, I think, he ended up lifting the trophy. So that is ironic. Now let's move on to the next conspiracy theory I would like to talk about is Aaron Ramsey's deadly touch. Now, I think this is pretty well known. So, Aaron Ramsey is a Welsh football player, and there's a conspiracy that every time he scores, a celebrity dies. And but it's not every goal. About one third of the goals that he scored, a celebrity has died. I'd like to name some. There have been Osama bin Laden, Steve Jobs, Paul Walker, Gaddafi, Whitney Houston, David Bowie. In fact, he did actually score in the Euros this year, and the first thing I thought was, oh, it can't be true. Like, there's no way a celebrity would die. And 2 days later, Milkha Singh passed away. So I don't know if this, I mean, we all think that it's a coincidence. Like, there's no way something like this would exist. But what are the chances? Really, really, what are the chances? The next one I'd like to talk about is a conspiracy where the Brazilian team was poisoned by the Argentinian holy water. So, Argentina, I wouldn't like to say this because I support Argentina, but it's a team that's surrounded by controversy. I mean, like the hand of God. It's just a very dodgy team, I would say. But I mean, it is my team. So after they won that World Cup, the one where Maradona did the hand of God, the next World Cup, the 1990 World Cup, Argentina was seen as favorites, obviously. I mean, past World Cup winners. But honestly, they were not in the best of form. I mean, they lost a game, they drew a game, and I think they won another game. But they needed to win to proceed again um, in the tournament. And they were playing against Brazil. Again, another really good team. What Brazil did was they man marked Maradona, the best player on the team. And Maradona can literally dribble from one half to the other and end up scoring, much like Messi. But I think Messi is better, but that's a conversation for another time. Um, so they appointed a Brazilian player. His name was Bronco to man mark Maradona the entire game. And in the first half, Maradona barely touched the ball. I mean, Bronco was doing an excellent job. What happened was then there was a small a break. I think somebody got injured and there was like a small water break. And Bronco went over to get some water. And an Argentinian staff member gave him the water. And then he drank, and then there was half time. And the next half, Bronco was playing really, really bad. And he looked tired. He looked like he was done with the game. And it was very weird because he played really well in the first half and he was doing everything with ease. He was marking Maradona with ease, and that is something to say. And Argentina ended up winning that game because Maradona actually assisted the goal, the winning goal, and it was 1-0. Argentina won the game. And after the game, Bronco claimed that that water made him drowsy, made him very drowsy. And Maradona actually did claim that they did put tranquilizers in the water. And after the game, there were several interviews about this. Everyone was shocked that how could they do this? And the manager was asked, the Argentinian manager was asked, and he said, and I quote, "I'm not saying it didn't happen, but nothing was proved." The last conspiracy I would like to talk about is the 2010 World Cup winners. Now, we all know that Spain won the 2010 World Cup. Andre Iniesta scores the winning goal. It was Spain's first ever World Cup. But North Korea believes that Portugal won the World Cup. Despite 1 billion people tuning in to watch the World Cup final, the entire nation of North Korea believes that Portugal won the World Cup. Now let's rewind to actually what happened. So North Korea was the host of the 2010 World Cup and they were playing against Portugal and they lost 4-0. But the game wasn't over. They were losing 4-0, and then the North Korea government cut the broadcast, obviously to save any embarrassment. And they never showed anything else. They didn't show the rest of the tournament. And they made everyone believe that, yeah, Portugal won the World Cup. This is only to like save embarrassment, like, oh, North Korea got defeated by the World Cup winners, and Portugal ended up being the World Cup winners. And the North Korean players were treated really badly after the loss. They were actually forced to work in labor camps due to this. And we all know how the North Korean government is and how they can control the media and all that. So, to me, it's not a surprise that the North Korean nation believes that Portugal won the World Cup. So that is the end of the episode. If you stay till the end, thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye bye. See ya.